Hi everybody, good morning, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news as a new £60 million bid goes in, well, is going to go in, I've got to get that right, otherwise the comments won't be happy, goes in, no, said it again, is going to go in for Mazraoui and Ligt. Also, Spurs in for McTominay and a couple of defensive blows, British defensive blows, as Guehi and Branthwaite look like they're off the table now. It probably won't matter, but we'll give you all the news and we'll give you all the opinion as well. Lots to get into on the show. Hope you're all doing well. It is a match day. Technically, if you're not going to bed, why would you go to bed? 1 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, Man United playing Liverpool. Very excited about that from a tactical sense. I think you're going to see a team well drilled against a team that really hasn't got the capability of doing that at the moment. So match day as well. Smash a like, get excited. But let's hit the news straight away. So Fabrizio Romano saying that Manchester United will go again with a new bid, separate or joint, for De Ligt and Mazraoui after their last bid was rejected by Bayern Munich. United want to work on this double deal again. We'll talk about the value of that bid at the moment, but of course it was yesterday morning that we heard that Manchester United had a bid for Mazraoui and De Ligt rejected. We also heard that there was disillusionment from Mazraoui and De Ligt's agent, who is the same person. A little bit confused why Bayern Munich were rejecting these bids when they want to sell both players. I would say the confusion's quite obvious. It's the the explanation's quite obvious, is they want more money. But Manchester United will go in again. They may bid separately, they may bid collectively. I would hope, morning everyone, says Jay, I would hope that we will bid collectively. If we do it separately, I think we slow things down. I.e., if we bid for Mazraoui, we get that deal done and then we go back for De Ligt, it's going to take longer. Whereas if we get both of them done together, then obviously it will be done quicker. I think that the price tag is the next bit from Fabrizio, and he's saying that Bayern want 50 million euros guaranteed for De Ligt, which we've always known is 42 million. And for Mazraoui, the fee could be 20 million euros. I mean, effectively, you're talking about Bayern Munich appear to want 70 million euros for the two, which in my mind is not far off 60 million, which is probably a little bit much, if I'm being honest. It probably is. I don't have a problem with 42 million for De Ligt. I mean, is Mazraoui an 18 million right back? I mean, maybe is. I mean, it's not. I suppose the positive is it's not far off. I don't mind. I mean, look, it's not my money, but I think Man United will be saying to Bayern Munich, look, we do want these players, but this is not Manchester United of 2 or 3 years ago where we can just chuck another £10 million on. We literally, we have a cash flow problem. We were talking about this on the Friday night show. Financial fair play will not restrict Manchester United from buying Mazraoui, De Ligt, Agartey. It won't stop us. Cash flow will. And Bayern Munich, if they want us to give them 60 million, but we can give them 10 million over the next 5 years, or 12 million, to make that, fine. But will Bayern Munich want 30 million up front, in which case we haven't got it. So Breen says we're penny pinching as usual, but I actually disagree. I think if you read the comments later on, you'll see this sort of thing. I think on one hand, you've got some of you saying, well done, Manchester United, for not paying the stupid fees. And then on the other hand, you've got old Glazers being tight with money again. And actually, both are hypocrisy, because the truth is the Glazers have taken dividends. They have let Old Trafford rot, but we've ridiculously overpaid over the last 10 years. So I think that Manchester United have got to try and get the best deal they can. And the positive is we're clearly not far off. De Ligt probably is worth about 40 million quid, and Mazraoui is probably worth about 15 to 20 million quid. So I would say if you can do a deal around 55 million pounds, which is what, 65 million euros, happy days. So if you've got that situation where Bayern want to do a deal for 70 million euros and you want to do it for 65 million euros, then maybe you could say to Bayern, like we did to Bologna, we'll give you a little bit extra if you let us do it over the next 5 years at 12 million a year. So I think it can get done. We are penny pinching in a sense, but I think we're doing it with a vision of trying to do more business in this transfer window. So the best deals we get, the more we can do it. As I said about Xerxes, if we'd have paid the release clause of 34 million, that 34 million's out the budget. But because we paid 36 million, we're paying them 12 million a year. In fact, I think it's less than that. So it gives you more budget now. So I think I understand what United are trying to do. I don't think we're obviously far off Bayern Munich. We will get there. My frustration with this is you just want these players to be part of pre-season. My frustration with this is you want them to be part of the game against Man City, and you certainly want them to play against Fulham. So, yeah, I do think that Manchester United will get it done. Some people talking about this Santi tweet. I've read it already, and I don't really hold much sway with it, to be honest with you. I'll read it out to you, but I don't think it... For me, it just feels like throw a dart at a dartboard with the blindfold on and you might hit a bullseye. It's too broad for me. So what it says is from Santi JFM, who is a journalist for Foot Mercato, and also from Hanif Berkan, who is another journalist from Foot Mercato. They say Mazraoui to Manchester United is almost a done deal. Well, we know that. Bayern Munich have authorised the defender to join United. We know that. He will fly by private jet in the next few days. If nothing changes, Mazraoui will have his medical on Tuesday. But, I mean, I can do that. I can do that. Agate will sign for Manchester United. If nothing changes, he will have his medical next week. Things change. Like, I think we know we're close to Mazraoui. But we can't sign Mazraoui until Wan-Bissaka goes to West Ham anyway. So it's, you know, look, we could get a here we go on Mazraoui any minute. We could get it on any day. We could get it with the Ligt as well. We could get it with Agate as well. I believe we will get all these three deals done. That I don't for 1 second think that that's not going to happen. When it's going to happen, that is the $1 million question, isn't it? And I think that the sooner the better. And we spoke about Amrabat last night and how it's very confusing that we've got a player waiting there to be a Man United player who's just not having a pre-season. And I suppose you could put that to what's happening with Mazraoui, De Ligt and Agate. I think Ineos need to be very careful here because they will become the Glazers again if they're not if they don't switch on. And what I mean by that is you have to value the start of the Premier League. You have to value the fact that we've had bad starts to the Premier League going back to Louis van Gaal when he had an amazing summer transfer window and lost against Swansea in the opening day. These points are massive at the end of the season. If you look at the end of the season, another 3 or 6 points can put you into a completely different position. We cannot devalue the Fulham game by going, doesn't matter if Maguire's still here and we haven't got De Ligt. Doesn't matter if Eriksen and McTominay are still here and we haven't got Agate or Amrabat. Doesn't matter if we've still got Wan-Bissaka here and we play him instead of Mazraoui. Well, it does matter. You've had 3 months to get these deals done. These players are ready to be here. And what you're basically doing is jeopardising Premier League points on saving 4 or 5 million quid. And that's not going to wash with anybody because that's a Glazer approach. And we've seen it over the recent years with the likes of Casemiro, with the likes of Anthony, with Amrabat last year. It happens a lot where Man United will try and save a bit of money by bringing players in at the end of August to save on wages when actually it will cost us points in the Premier League. And if we want to be ahead of the game, there's a real opportunity there because a lot of Premier League clubs are doing the same thing. They're waiting till August, looking for decent deals, and they're going to jeopardise points as well. We are Manchester United, and we are playing Liverpool, not only tonight in a meaningless friendly, but in Game 3 of the Premier League. Do you want to play against Fulham and Brighton with Maguire and Casemiro and Eriksen and players like that, and then by the Liverpool game, you have got De Ligt, you have got Agate, but they're on the bench because you don't want to change the team and then you don't start playing them till September because that's exactly what happened with Casemiro. We bought Casemiro. He didn't start the first 2 games because McTominay had done okay. So you've got to have your team ready for the first game of the season. That's the only thing that has bothered me over the last few weeks is as long as these players are trained enough to start against Fulham. I don't care if we buy them today, tomorrow, or next Thursday. But they've got to be ready to play against Fulham. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point? Keep up the good work, Mark. Fingers crossed for the new season, says Simon Blank. Really hope we get these lads in. Deal to be done, says Damien. Mining my love. You hope you have a great weekend, says Margot Robbie. Jason Bashford, thanks for your super chat. I smell a here we go very soon. What we saying, Mark, says Tom. Yeah, I mean, look, we can get a here we go on the weekend. If you've tuned in a little bit late, Fabrizio saying that we will bid again, despite having a double rejection yesterday from Ligt and Mazraoui from Bayern. We will bid again. Bayern wants 70 million for the pair. That's not going to be too far off what we want to pay. Let's see what happens with it, because we do need to get some urgency. And actually, you know what? Early next week, it would be nice to have these players in training and ready to be on the bench for Man City and starting against Fulham. So that's the positive. The flip side of negative is this drags on out for another few weeks and they're not ready for the Fulham game. Samuel Harper, welcome to the Members Club. Good morning, Mark. Great to see you live, says AMG. Congratulations on the new book. Just purchased the Audible version for all the walks. Keep up the great work. Thanks everyone who's buying the book and the Audible. Lots of people giving us good feedback in the chat. Hope you're enjoying it. Luke Hayden says, surely Bayern has to accept. Both players have waived transfers anywhere else. Bayern surely won't risk being stuck with them. And, well, they might do. They might do. I mean, you can't get anything but positivity about De Ligt. Even Manuel Neuer has been talking about De Ligt just yesterday, saying what a great defender he is and how he loves playing with him, but it's up to the club what they do. Match Day says, Jeffrey, thank you very much. Just on that as well, Keel says, Rabiot, Amrabat, De Ligt, Mazraoui, I'd be happy. I mean, Rabiot, I haven't heard anything about at all. Nothing at all. But with the midfield situation, I'd forgotten to bring this in yesterday, actually, and I suppose it's a news show, so we may as well bring it in. Duncan Castles has linked Scott McTominay to Tottenham. Now, it's gone a bit quiet with McTominay. He will play today, tomorrow, whatever you want to call it, no doubt about that. So will Wan-Bissaka. There is a risk element to that, of course. They could pick up injuries, but I think with regards to what's going to happen with McTominay and Wan-Bissaka, probably going to be next week, isn't it? If we're being honest, there is a risk for injury today. But yeah, Spurs have been linked to Scott McTominay. Now, I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I think the way that Ange Postecoglou plays football, I can't for 1 minute see Scott McTominay being a player that he would want to use, unless he's looking for a different, height option in their attack. I suppose they're not particularly tall. Not that Son and Kulusevski are small for wingers, but maybe that would be it. And I'm sure if Spurs were interested in McTominay would probably rather go there. I don't see Spurs going for Scott McTominay, but it's a weird transfer window. Somebody might look at it and go, he's worth it for that. Fulham have completed the signing of Smith Rowe for a 35 million package. If you're spending £35 million on Smith Rowe, then you should be spending £30 million on Scott McTominay. And I would expect that deal still to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen this weekend, because they're going to be flying back from America and playing in a game against Liverpool in the early hours of tomorrow morning. So I think Wan-Bissaka and Scott McTominay aren't going to be doing anything until after these games, which is a risk. There are players that are on tours at the moment that are not being picked, being sent home to do deals. I mean, can I just say, it's got nothing to do with us, but so excited to see Fulkrug playing in the Premier League. He's signing for West Ham. Not saying Man United should have signed him, but I think he's a fascinating striker, and it'll be interesting to see what West Ham do, actually. I mean, we should mention West Ham, because if they get Wan-Bissaka, is it Somerville who's gone to them as well? Fulkrug's there. They've already got a few good players. They've got a new manager in Lopetegui, who's certainly a step up from David Moyes. So, yeah, some interesting things going on at West Ham. But bringing it back to Manchester United, I think that some people will say it's gone very quiet on Agate. I don't think it has gone quiet on Agate. I think that we have to sell to buy, and that midfielder at the moment. I mean, look, let me just say this to those people that don't want Scott McTominay to go. If you don't want Scott McTominay to go and you've got the decision on that, then we aren't going to have anything different about our midfield against Fulham, because we've got to sell a midfielder to buy Agate, and there is no negotiations going on for any other midfielder at the moment. Casemiro, no. Eriksen, no. So the only negotiation is McTominay. So if you want Agate, and you want Agate for the Fulham match, which I think is essential, then McTominay's got to go, because there is no other deal being worked on at the moment. Lindelof and Hannibal and Pellistri are expected to be sorted when they come back to Carrington, but there is nothing going on with Eriksen, and there is nothing going on with Casemiro. So if you want Agate, McTominay has to go. It's as simple as that. And I do want Agate. It's harsh for people like Robert McCormack, but at the end of the day, Agate, McTominay, that's your choice. Nothing in between. So I don't know whether Robert's in the chat or the McTominay fan club's in the chat. I mean, Ricky, we've got Ricky on the channel later today. He's out in North Carolina. He's going to be doing a video on the United stand, giving us his transfer review. That's going to be one of the biggest videos of the summer. Ricky's transfer review. I mean, what's he going to think? He loves McTominay. Can't remember what he thinks about Wan-Bissaka. What will he think about signings of Yoro and Xerxes? You know, we'll get his thoughts on that. But I would say to Ricky, Agate or McTominay, and he probably would say McTominay, but I think the vast majority will say Agate. Mark, get the cut book, says Greg. West Ham have just made 3 signings and want Wan-Bissaka. Could it indicate a big budget? Could we rinse them for him? Clubs have done it to us for years, says Harrison. He's only got a year left on his contract, Wan-Bissaka. I don't think we will be able to do that. Is it known why Bayern is holding off on these bids, says Lionel? If these players are surplus to requirements, then Bayern is surely smoking something. You know what it is? I think it goes back to what I was saying. We need these players for Fulham. Bayern don't need to sell these players till the end of August. So Bayern do need to sell them, and they are playing a risky game, I suppose. But they probably know Man United aren't going to pivot away. In a way, it would be great if we did have an alternative to De Ligt and Mazraoui and went, fuck off. You're stuck with those players, because I don't think there's anybody else going to buy De Ligt and Mazraoui, and if they are, they will be for a cheaper price. What I'm saying is, if United didn't buy De Ligt and didn't buy Mazraoui and bought 2 other players, Bayern would have to keep 2 players that aren't unhappy, or they'd have to try and find sellers who won't pay what we were going to pay, because they're going to be desperate. So, you know, Bayern are playing a bit of a game, but I think they're playing the game based on the fact that we publicly have agreed personal terms with Mazraoui and De Ligt and told them that we wanted them. Now, I read a comment yesterday that was very interesting, and they said, this will teach us to agree personal terms with players before we've agreed a fee with the club. I'm sort of conflicted on that. In one way, you're right. You know, Bayern feel they've got us over a barrel because we've basically said to Mazraoui and De Ligt that we want them and we will get them. It's the same what we did to Sancho at Dortmund, and Dortmund, another German club, just sat there and went, well, you've told the player you want him. You've told the player that he's coming to Man United, so you better pay, haven't you? But, on the other hand, it is common to agree personal terms with the player before you agree a fee with the club. It's very common. So, I don't really know what United could have done differently. Maybe the way it's been publicly played out hasn't helped. We've publicly let it be known that we've got a deal and a personal teams with De Ligt. Maybe that just strengthens Bayern Munich. It's a difficult one because we're not... I don't think Bayern Munich are taking the piss, to be honest. I think £42 million for De Ligt is fair. We might be taking the piss offering 30 million. I don't think they're taking the piss on Mazraoui asking for 20 million euros. So it's all right saying, oh, Bayern are doing this, Bayern are doing that. They're not asking for 90 million for De Ligt and 50 million for Mazraoui. I think their prices are realistic. United are probably just trying to, you know, get the price down a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know what more we could do any different, really. Morning, Mark. Please, can you wish my grandson Kai a happy 5th birthday and congratulations for his 9 goals yesterday, says Richard Druitt. Happy birthday, Kai, and 9 goals is pretty fantastic. Keep it up, mate. Keep working hard, and I hope you had a great birthday. Sean Turner says, serious question. I know people are excited about our transfers, Euro apart, but are teams like Fulham, Villa and West Ham buying better players than us? It's close. This is a great question. This is a great question from Sean. I'm very impressed with Fulkrug. Definitely very impressed with Fulkrug. I think West Ham and Wan-Bissaka is a good fit, but that's only because West Ham are not Man United. I think he suits West Ham more than he suits a Man United or a Man City, so I think it's a good signing for him. So I think West Ham have done quite well. Villa reasonably well as well. We've spoken about some of their players. I mean, I wouldn't want Onana, but I think at Everton, at Villa, he might do quite well. And who else did you mention? Fulham. No, look, I think United are doing quite well. We've got Yoro, Xerxes, De Ligt, Agate, Mazraoui. Those 5 players are transformative when they're done. But, you just want to get them done. Are we still in good... Schwen's in the chat says, are we still good in terms of homegrown players if McTominay, Wan-Bissaka and Sancho leave? Yeah, we've got plenty of homegrown players, Schwen. We've got the likes of... I mean, look, Tom Heaton will still be here. I mean, the homegrown thing for me almost feels like a tick box exercise because you're just saying, oh, you're here because you're homegrown. Like, are you actually talented? So... Mason Mount, Marcus Rashford, Luke Shaw, that's 3 straight away. Kobe Mainu, that's 4. Wan-Bissaka would go. Harry Maguire's probably going to stay, that's 5. Tom Heaton, that's 6. Garnacho's homegrown, that's 7. If Collier comes through, that's 8. Amas, 9. We've got plenty of homegrown players. I mean, Lenny Yoro will be classed as a homegrown player, won't he? I think at some point. I don't know. Well, he won't. He's not foreign anyway for the next 2 or 3 years. Johnny Evans is homegrown. So yeah, we've got plenty of players. I think the fact that we haven't bought a homegrown player will be a bit of a frustration for Ineos, to be honest with you. Harvey Specter says the problem is cash flow. United are not liquid. The fee for both is no issue. It's the initial payment, which is the hurdle. I think you're right. Do you think we'll go for Edison from Atalanta if we don't go for Agate? We've not been linked for him for ages. We were talking about him on the show last night. Not been linked for him for ages. Lee Berman says Santi J tweet from 20 minutes ago. Lee, you clearly weren't here at the start of the show, mate. I mean, you that's not an I'm sorry, Lee. I hate to make a subject of you, but you are somebody who is part of this chat many, many years, and you weren't here on time, mate, because we've spoken about that one. Harrison, we've done as well, and Greg, get that. Lionel, we've done that. We've done that as well. Morning, Mark. You never signed my book, says Andy Bell. Well, you probably didn't buy a signed one. Keep up the good work, Mark. Fingers crossed for the season. Okay, we've done all those. Just a couple of other updates as well. Sam C has done a tweet. Oh, why has he done a tweet and then not bothered to tell us? Let me have a look. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is close to joining West Ham, I understand. Advancing. Okay. Yeah, we sort of know that, don't we? In fairness. I think we know what Wan-Bissaka is. My feeling on Wan-Bissaka is that he will be, as soon as this Liverpool game's out of the way, it'll be done. Harvey says, is the young kid from Arsenal homegrown? Well, mate, it has to be, because all you've got to do to be homegrown is play for a British club for 3 years before your 21st birthday. He's 16, so he will always be homegrown. Doesn't matter whether he plays for Nigeria, Denmark, or he can play for England. I think he's played under 17s for Denmark, Obi Martin. He can play for Nigeria. He can also play for England. But it doesn't matter. You can be homegrown and be Argentinian, like Garnacho, if you've been at the club for 3 years before you're 21. So I think some people do get a bit confused about the homegrown rule because they think you've got to be British. To be homegrown, you've just got to have played for a British club before your 21st birthday. So there we go. Just talking about the homegrown stuff. Actually, I'll come back to that because Live Wallpapers just said, what happened with the lawyer being involved for Todibo? A bit of an echo here because we did speak a bit about this last night, but Todibo is not going to be a Man United player because of UEFA. Get your head around this, right? Fabrizio, update, Todibo, Juventus, 30 million euros. Doesn't it not piss you off, actually? And you know what? I think in football, we sometimes go off talking about the wrong injustices. This is a disgrace from UEFA. Like, we never did anything wrong about Todibo. We wanted Todibo last summer before Ineos even bought Man United. This was a defender that Ten Hag wanted before Sir Jim had even considered buying Man United. So he was a target that we wanted before Ineos. So Ineos buy 28% of the club halfway through the season, UEFA step in and say, you can't buy a player from Nice. It's a fucking joke. We were scouting him before Ineos, and Ineos only got 28% halfway through the season. In what way is us buying Todibo an advantage over anybody else? And now he's going for £22 million, 30 million euros. He's going for a fucking steal as well. It's another kick in the nuts because we wanted Todibo, UEFA have stopped it, and he's now going to go for about 22 million quid, which is nothing. Absolutely nothing. We'd be able to say to Nice, we'll give you basically 8 million over the next 3 years. Like, it would have been virtually a free signing for Manchester United. 20 million. And also, they're not paying the 22 million now. It's a loan with an option to buy. So Juventus are getting an absolute steal on Todibo, a player that we wanted that could have been our player for next to nothing. So yeah, it just pisses me off. Look, the answer to which the question was, what's the lawyer doing? I think United have looked at it and gone, if we take UEFA to court, this is going to take months and months and months. So UEFA win, don't they? Yeah, it's a joke. And as we know, that Savino, who's gone to Man City, was actually at Girona, who Man City own, but he was on loan from another club that Man City own, who aren't in the Champions League. So Man City found a way around it. So yeah, Savino was on loan at Girona, who qualified for the Champions League, so shouldn't be able to play for Man City. But because he was on loan at Girona, he can move to Man City. But he was on loan to Girona from another club that Man City own, who didn't qualify for the Champions League. So load of bollocks. UEFA's rules are a load of shit. I wish we had took them to court just to prove what a knobhead rule it is. Harrison says, what role would the other lad from Palace have if we sign him? I think signing these players is great, but can't we look at prospects from abroad? Says Harrison. I think we will do. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to do that. But yeah, I think we will do. Hi, Mark. The book is fantastic read. Congratulations on that. You deserve the reward for your relentless hard work and amazing content. Simon, thank you very much for your lovely message. When do we fly back from the tour, says Stephen Bray? So North Carolina is where we're going to play Liverpool. When they're in LA, it was 8 hours behind. In North Carolina, because it's further east, they're 5 hours behind. So the time in North Carolina at the moment is 5:30 in the morning. So we kick off at 1 o'clock in the morning tomorrow against Liverpool, which will be 8 o'clock at night in North Carolina. Manchester United will be done by about 10 o'clock. They're going straight from that match to the airport and will be flying back pretty much early hours of the morning, Sunday morning, back into Manchester, I presume. So they'll be back in training on Tuesday in Carrington. Why has it not worked out for De Ligt at his previous club, says Kia? Well, I wouldn't say it hasn't worked out for him, mate. He won a title at Juventus and he won a title at Bayern Munich. There is a question there, but I wouldn't say he was a flop, and I wouldn't say he's a bad player. I think we will see only. Karan says, I think we will only see outgoings after the Community Shield. If all the outgoings happen next week, we may not have a strong enough squad. Thank you very much. I wasn't here from the start, says Lee Berman. Apology accepted. And Duncan Castles doesn't deserve any recognition, says Skinner. Thank you very much. Just on a couple of other things, by the way, we have had a couple of updates around, I suppose, pivots away from De Ligt, which I don't think there are any anymore. On Branthwaite, Sean Dyche has been speaking. I'm not going to do it. He said his rubbish suggestions that Everton buying Jake O'Brien would be a replacement for Branthwaite. He says, it's nothing to do with that. It's just to do with trying to model the club with the finances available. We've made it clear to him, Branthwaite, that there's nothing other than that. But of course, put 2 and 2 together and everyone starts speculating. What do you do? So that's what he said. Basically, he's saying that the signing of O'Brien is not an indicator that they're going to sell Branthwaite. And looks like Branthwaite will be staying at Everton. And also another update on another player we were looking at was Guehi. Now, we were looking at Guehi back in February. I told you that. I think the fact that Guehi played in the Euros ruined any... You could say Maguire. Harry Maguire. Remember what we... Does anyone... Look, I've got to say this right. I'm taking the piss. I'm not saying Harry Maguire's controlling the world of centre-backs that Man United might sign. But there is a theory, everyone used to mention it down the pub, about Kevin Bacon. Everything goes back to Kevin Bacon, the actor. Like, you can start off talking about a bowl of lasagna and you can take it back to Kevin Bacon. Anything, apparently, you can take back to Kevin Bacon. Right. It feels like any centre-back that Man United want to sign, you can take it back to a story about Harry Maguire somewhere, whether it's Yoro getting injured, whatever. But Guehi would have been an option for Man United if he hadn't played for England in the Euros. And he played for England in the Euros because Harry Maguire got injured. So if Harry Maguire had been fit, Southgate would have picked him in stones. Guehi wouldn't have played at all. And Guehi's price would not have increased from 40 million. But of course he did, and his price has gone up, and United won't go anywhere near that price, quite rightly. Further to that, we were definitely looking at Guehi back in February. And obviously he's homegrown, so he was a player that Ineos were very interested in. However, according to The Athletic, Newcastle have opened negotiations with Crystal Palace over the transfer of Guehi, and meaningful talks are taking place there. I mean, it'd be very interesting if he did go to Newcastle, what they would pay for him, because if he went to Newcastle for like 40 million, I would be saying, where's Manchester United in that? But we're not in that race, are we? And I do think there is part of Man United that will be very disappointed that they didn't buy a homegrown player. And we obviously tried with Branthwaite, but you can't, if you can't do it, you can't do it. I mean, as I was just saying there, the problem with homegrown players is that sometimes they're just a bit shit and they are there because they're homegrown. But I think Guehi or Branthwaite would have been good signings, but we've just been priced out, haven't we? We've been priced out. So it'd be interesting to see if he does go to Newcastle. But I suppose when you look at the centre-back market, Branthwaite we didn't get, Guehi we're not going to get, and Todibo we're not going to get. And they are three targets that United, well, two of them, Todibo and Branthwaite, I would say. I mean, it'd be very interesting if we'd signed Todibo and Everton had said yes about Branthwaite, because I don't think Yoro and De Ligt would be here. I would almost, we'll never know, but I would almost say that Todibo and Branthwaite might have been option 1 and 2. Some would say, no, Yoro's option 1 because we beat Real Madrid to it. But I don't know. Todibo was very, I mean, maybe we would have got Todibo, Yoro and Branthwaite, but we were definitely going to get Todibo and we definitely wanted Branthwaite. I think we're very lucky in the centre-back arena that I don't think we can say next season, oh, well, we're failing because Ineos didn't get Ten Hag option plan A or B. I think there are so many good centre-back options when you think about Branthwaite, Todibo, Guehi, Yoro, De Ligt. You know, there's 5 really good options there, and I would have been happy with 2 out of any of those. I mean, even Anacho as well. So I think there are. I think centre-back we can't really moan whatever we end up with. Would you risk loaning in Chiesa? Says Kizele. I mean, I don't think we will loan in Chiesa. I think anything's possible in the back end of the transfer window, because I think a lot of clubs. Oh no, why I'm yawning. I think a lot of clubs are waiting to do business later on in the transfer window. There's no doubt about that. But I've not really heard anything or read anything credible that we will go for Chiesa. Jason Under, welcome to the Members Club. You're an absolute legend. And Shubham says, I spoke to a friend who supports Bayern. He wants to keep De Ligt because Upamecano is a downgrade and doesn't rate Mazraoui. He's fuming, says Shubham. Yeah, well, we've heard about that before. About De Ligt, haven't we? And Bayern Munich fans. Ryan says, who will you pick as vice captain if Casemiro leaves? Probably Martinez, I think, on that one. We've got a new Fabrizio tweet coming in, by the way. He says that 52 seconds ago, he's got eyes on Mazraoui. But he's also quote tweeting his tweet about West Ham. So keep an eye on that. It looks like Man United might have gone ahead and just done an individual deal on Mazraoui then, because they can't get it done as a joint deal. But look, as I said, I think with Mazraoui and De Ligt, we could get to a point we could get to a point with one of those two where we do get a here we go this weekend. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Sorry, I'm just reading some stuff there. I'm getting your book on Tuesday, says C74M. Just want to wish you the very best of luck. Thanks, mate. Hope you enjoy it. And Rory C says, we should have agreed the deal before both teams qualified for the same competition. And, well, look, Todibo is a bad thing about Ineos, isn't it? It's just one of those things. De Ligt and Yoro are better than Todibo, says Ben. And we've done that one from Harrison. Does he start Agate versus Fulham, even if we get him, says Robert McCormack? Well, I think you make a great point, because I personally think that even if you get De Ligt and Agate before Fulham, Ten Hag will probably start Maguire and Casemiro, because he's done that before. Yeah, he's done that before, hasn't he? So, yeah, I think he might not do that. We've not had a here we go from Fabrizio Romano. We've had a couple of eyes in relation to Mazraoui. So, probably keep your eye on that, but we haven't had a here we go yet. Twats in the chat trying to bait people, which is sad, really, because you're meant to be part of a community. Joe Hugel scored his first goal for Wigan last night, by the way. Having a good pre-season, which is nice to see. What's this? Yeah, I'm not going to lead to that bollocks. I nearly read it out as well. Rubbish sauce. Put it in the bloody cupboard. Coming back. Predictions for tonight, says Lewis. This can't be very motivating for De Ligt, says Harvey. Predictions for tonight. I've got a video going up on That's Football actually this morning talking about Arne Slot. So it's not a preview, but it's a nice little look at Slot, and I'm a bit concerned about him. My prediction tonight is that they're going to play us off the park. I'm not worried about that, but I think they're going to play us off the park tonight. And the reason for that is I do That's Football, so I keep my eye on, and I do a podcast that's not Man United, it's general football. So I keep my eye on football. And effectively, I think that when it comes to Liverpool under Arne Slot, they're already looking really good. And the system was already in place because of Klopp and the players that he's inherited. So they will play good football tonight, whereas we won't, because we haven't got the players to do it. So I'm not saying we'll lose. We might not lose, but I think Liverpool, the headlines tomorrow will be Liverpool wipe the floor with Man United. They will absolutely destroy us on the ball, because they've got the players and they've got the system, and we haven't got the players and we haven't got the system. And I can almost predict my match reaction tomorrow morning will be sign some fucking players, because we will get embarrassed in a footballing sense tonight. I hope we don't, but I think logically we will, because I've seen what they did against Betis and I've seen what they did against Arsenal, and they're already playing this double pivot, play out from the back, passing lanes, it's already looking quite good. And they've got the likes of Salah in that team already. I think Jota's there already as well. So I think they've got they've got a better squad than us on the pre-season, but they've also got a squad that's used to playing good football. So I think it will be. I'm not saying we'll get beat, but I think they will play visibly better football, which I'm not too worried about, because we've got a lot of our best players not here. But it just shows you what Ten Hag said in that interview yesterday. You can't be successful with players who aren't good enough, and we can't go into another season using the likes of who we want to sell and expect a different outcome. So, yeah, that's what I thought. I think about that. Thanks, Mark. Cheers from across the pond. Keep up the great work, says Jason. Hope you're doing well, Jason. Thank you very much. Fantastic show this morning, by the way. Fingers crossed we might get a here we go today then. A lot of people seem to think we will. We're obviously getting very, very close. Eddie Johnson says, excuses, Ten Hag's in his third season. Eddie, I can't help you if you're not intelligent at looking at football. I mean, everybody is welcome, but I do get a little bit bored of telling you the same story. And you know what they say, never go down to the level of an idiot, because they're experts in that type of an argument. And people will say, oh, you're being horrible to Eddie. I'm not being horrible to Eddie, because we've had this conversation so many times. Erik ten Hag inherited the worst Man United Premier League side ever, who was a team that only knew how to play counter-attacking football. Arne Slot is inheriting a Jurgen Klopp side that nearly won the league. Erik ten Hag has still not been allowed to dismantle that park the bus bad attitude team. Arne Slot is inheriting a Jurgen Klopp side. Like, there is no, you can talk about year 3, you can talk about month 3. There is no, if you don't give a manager what Slot's got, then they won't be successful. And Arne Slot will be successful at Liverpool because he's a good coach inheriting a very good squad with a very good mentality and a very good style of play. And Ten Hag has still got half a team that wants to play counter-attacking football. Rashford is a counter-attacking attacker. Maguire, Johnny Evans, Victor Lindelof, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. You know, these are all players that want to play on the edge of the box. So there is still a lot of work to be done at Manchester United. So it's not excuses. It is year 3. But I would say, well, why is Maguire still here then? Why is Lindelof still here then? Why is Wan-Bissaka still here then? You know, you can talk about year 3, but he hasn't been allowed to get rid of the players that will change. If Maguire had gone to West Ham last year and Kim Min-jae had come in, I'd be a little bit more going, well, that's, yeah, at least that's happening. Until I see the day where we remove the players that don't suit, the way I look at it is, what Man United players would be in a Liverpool squad? And there ended the lesson. If you want to compare Slot to Ten Hag, tell me how many Man United players go into that Liverpool squad. Because I tell you what, it's not many. Onana, no. Wan-Bissaka, no. Dalot, maybe, as a backup to Trent. Martinez, yes. Maguire, no. Lindelof, no. Evans, no. Yoro's injured, but probably yes. Luke Shaw as a backup to Robertson, yes. Casemiro, forget it. Mainu, yes. Bruno, yes. Mount, probably not, to be honest with you. Eriksen, certainly not. McTominay, certainly not. Rashford on the bench, maybe. Garnacho, yes. Not saying he'd start. Rasmus, Xerxes, potentially on the bench. Anthony, forget it. Ahmad, maybe. Sancho, maybe. But the reality is a vast majority of them aren't going to go on there. And I'll have that argument with anybody because I think it's the most valid. I think it's absolutely nailed on. I think only an idiot can't see it. The difference between what Slot is inheriting and what Ten Hag inherited and still hasn't been allowed to dismantle is incredible to me. Absolute legends this morning. I might see you. We've got some cracking content for you today. I have got an 8 o'clock show tonight, but we've hopefully got Ricky's transfer review, which is I can't wait for. I think we've got a bit of a preview with Red Men. And obviously we're ready to go on any Here We Goes as well. So absolute legends, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in as always. Don't forget, if you want to order the book, it's out now. It can literally be listened to on a morning walk if you get it from Amazon on Audible, or you can just order the physical book. And I think there are still some signed copies with WH Smith as well. Scan that QR code or go through the link in the description. I'll speak to you later. It's a big day. We've got a match as well. Very excited for it. Take care. Speak to you in a bit. And stay safe.